Hello everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, the film critic of themoviewizard.com, and let's talk about the Oscars, specifically the Best Animated Feature Award. Now, I am a huge proponent of this award. I mean, yes, on one hand, it does kind of make it a little bit more difficult for an animated movie to actually get nominated, much less win Best Picture, because, like the foreign language film category, when something shows up in Best Picture, the Academy decides, well, they've got their own category for that, so we'll award it there and we'll give the big prize to someone else. So I know that that's a little bit of a, how they say, a paradox for the animation industry. But the thing is, the animated feature category was a long time coming. It does state that animation is award worthy. We should be celebrating it. And of course, one of the pros that comes up is that after doing this for more than 10 years, people have started to notice certain names pop up multiple times, like Brad Bird or Hayao Miyazaki. And then once in a while, a Tim Burton or Wes Anderson will show up in the nominees. And so I think it is actually a good thing for the animation industry. However, there are two major problems for it, which have prevented it from being the good thing that it can be. We're going to talk about one of those issues today, and here's the issue. The Best Animated Feature category is more or less owned by Disney. It's true. I hate to say it, but it's true. So, and I will tell you what I mean, and we're going to go through all the movies that have won Best Animated Feature. The first movie to win was Shrek. This is a DreamWorks film. The very first year this award was presented. The other nominees were Monsters Incorporated and Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. Okay, Growing Pains. And I feel this deserved to win. A lot of people felt that Monsters Inc. should have won that year, and that Pixar got screwed that year. However, as we're about to see, they would have it made up tenfold in the following years. The second movie that won animated feature was Spirited Away. Technically a Studio Ghibli film. However, Disney was the distributor for this. And Disney, by the way, was pushing for Lilo and Stitch to win that year, or Treasure Planet. Primarily Lilo and Stitch. So Disney definitely had something to gain by one of those movies being nominated, or winning, I should say. And so this is technically not a Disney film, but Disney did distribute it, so we're going to count that towards them. And and I also want to say, before we go any further, I'm not knocking the quality of these movies. I'm just trying to make a point. Okay, the next year, it was Finding Nemo. Pixar, who was in partnership with Disney. Following years, The Incredibles. Pixar and Disney. Following year, Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. This is Aardman Animation, and DreamWorks distributed it, so you could probably count this a win towards DreamWorks. And the other nominees were, I believe, Corpse Bride, which was Warner Brothers, and Howl's Moving Castle, which was Studio Ghibli. However, Disney distributed it, so I think we couldn't say Disney kind of lost, because they did have a dog in the fight. The next year, Happy Feet won. Now, this is especially notable because a Disney film that was favored to win did lose, and that movie was Cars. Personally, I would have picked Monster House, but it didn't have nearly enough support. This was considered an upset. And again, this is notable, because right afterwards, Disney came back with a vengeance, or Pixar, I should say, with Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, which was also nominated for Best Picture. So now we're going on 3 years of Pixar winning. Who wins the next year? Toy Story 3, Pixar and Disney. In the following year, Rango, Nickelodeon, distributed by Paramount. Why didn't Disney win this year? Because they weren't nominated. Their movies were Cars 2 and Winnie the Pooh. So that was the year that Disney, in a sense, couldn't win. However, they came back again with Brave, Pixar Disney. And just to show you how one-sided it is at this point, the runner-ups, the movies that were considered to win aside from this, were Frankenweenie and Wreck-It Ralph. Both Disney films. And better Disney films, I want to add. The next movie, which I don't have with me because I just realized I lent it out to someone, but that's Frozen. Then the following year, or the most recent winner, Big Hero 6. So, let's see here. Out of all the years that have won Best Picture, Disney has won 9 times. 10 if you include Spirited Away. Folks, this award's only been around for like 13 years. That's like almost 80% of the winners have been Disney-related films. And I'm not speaking against the quality of the movies. I mean, because, for example, when movies like this and this win, you feel kind of bad for the competition because they're clearly not going to win. Those are excellent movies. But can you honestly say these were Oscar-worthy? Or even this? The funny thing about this is, I was criticized heavily for only giving this movie 3 stars in my review, and I stood to my guns that this was by far the weakest of the Toy Story movies, and that it was riding a wave of nostalgia and perfect timing. It had a brilliant opening, it had a brilliant end, the middle had problems. And years later, people started to come around to the fact and say, you know what? You might have been right. So yeah, that's when it starts getting concerning. And just for fun, here are some movies that were nominated but didn't win. Fantastic Mr. Fox. The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. The Wind Rises. Song of the Sea. The Secret of the Kells. Chico and Rita. A Cat in Paris. Paranorman. Despicable Me. Okay, they were right about that one. Coraline. The Illusionist. How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2. These are great movies. And while I don't have time to go into what they lost against, can you honestly look at these and say, really, Academy, not one of those was worthy of an Oscar? And here's the thing, even compared to the really, really good Disney movies that have won, like Frozen and Finding Nemo, these animated films take more chances. Especially Frozen. You know what? Some of my friends, particularly Kirsten and Tessica, if they happen to watch this, they're gonna love this admission. I gave that movie 5 stars. I consider it a perfect film, and much better than Tangled, I want to add. I'm going to give the haters this. The reason that movie is so good is because Disney had a formula, and they perfected it, and they twisted it. They played with the conventions. And that's fine. That's totally fine. However, when you watch something like this, there's no conventions. It's a drama. When you do this, again, drama. Silent film to boot. this action movie, this witty sarcastic comedy, none of these, except for possibly this, follow a formula or rework a formula. They are totally, completely original. Why can't the Academy reward that a little bit more than a company that constantly just tweaks its own formula a little bit or its own method, and sometimes to great success? Again, some of these movies are really good. I liked Big Hero 6. I would not have given it an Oscar, but I did like it. But, and then of course, we don't even have time to get into movies that aren't nominated, because there's only 5 slots. I acknowledge that. There's only so much you can do sometimes. But you see one of the problems. For all the talk about how the Academy is racist and biased, there probably is some truth to at least the bias part. Because when it comes time to vote for the animated features, what happens is most of the members, they don't watch animation, and then they actually really frown when there's, as one of them said, some effing Chinese film. By the way, the year that was said, this was up for nomination, and to that Academy member, it's not Chinese, it's Japanese. And it actually was more expensive than the Peanuts movie. So, there. And it's just, yeah, there is a big problem. And so not only do these people not watch all the movies, they don't care, they're going to vote for what's most familiar or what their kids like. Because most Academy members admit that when it comes to the animation category, they put the ballot in front of their kids and they ask their kids to pick one. And their kids are most likely always going to pick the Disney film, because that's the one that, first of all, it's probably the only one they're going to have seen. But then secondly, it's the one that's going to make them laugh the most. And really, that's the only thing most kids know how to gauge. They can't think about subtlety. They can't watch a movie like The Wind Rises and actually think about what it means, because they can't relate to it. I don't expect them to. It's an adult movie. But they watch Frozen, and it's like, Olaf is so funny, and I like the songs. Let's vote for that one. I remember, like, the year Big Hero 6 won, one of the quotes was really telling. An Academy member had admitted they saw all of the Best Animated Feature nominees. All of them. Which was impressive. Kudos to that person. You should definitely be allowed to keep your voting privileges, regardless what rule changes the Academy takes in the next year. However, and this is where I have to backtrack on that compliment just a little bit. They mentioned I liked the tale of Princess Kaguya the best. However, I voted for Big Hero 6 because my kids saw it 3 times. And what does that tell you? It doesn't tell you anything. It says your kids found something they liked and they watched it a lot. A lot of kids watch SpongeBob SquarePants. That doesn't mean it's the pinnacle of animation. It really isn't. It used to be a lot funnier, but not so much anymore. So that's the problem with the animated feature, or one of the problems. Is that basically one corporation is controlling this category. And this year, Inside Out will win. Now, in all fairness, that totally deserves to win. Like, I think the biggest competition it has is Anomalisa. And if Anomalisa wins, that would be great. That would be a totally unconventional choice. But Inside Out was the best film of the year for me, and I do believe the best film should win. But again, it's just going to be one more win for Disney and Pixar. And the thing is, and it's almost a shame because there's a couple movies that were nominated this year that really do deserve to win. And, they have to go up against a Pixar film. And Next year, I haven't seen it yet, but Disney will release Zootopia. It looks terrible. I haven't seen the previews, but every time I see a poster, I just look at it. It's like, God, that looks awful. Like, I know it looks good, but that looks awful. And the thing is, with 6 and Brave have proved, need to be better. I think my video just stuttered there. A huge problem. The Academy needs to do something to fix that. Now, there is a second problem, and I will discuss that in another video. And you can watch that video by subscribing to the channel. And like, favorite, share, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.